Yeah, time to give it to y'all. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, my good people? How you guys doing out there? I had to bring in Afro Mama in the backdrop because it's going down. Isn't that right, Cheryl? In Toledo. That's right. The Afro Hair Summit is coming to Toledo. We're getting a lot of inquiries, by the way. And in case you're wondering, where am I at on this social media? You have officially dropped in, stopped by, or as Abraham Hicks would say, tapped in, tuned in, turned on to America's favorite podcast about Afro hair. And we are talking the dumbest shit that people say about black hair. It is me, your homegirl, Ladosha Wright, aka Hello. And over there is my PNC, my BMF, the one and only, the unapologetically brilliant Cheryl Morrow. And tonight we're going to find out just how brilliant she is. We have so much good news to share with you guys. You're going to absolutely love it. What's up, Sandra Fatou? What's up? You are our champions. We got Gambia, West Africa is in the house, baby, baby. All right. So as we wait for a few people to come on in the chat, hopefully hundreds. We want hundreds and hundreds of people in this chat tonight. We have a wonderful discussion. It's all about race and hair, particularly black and brown people. But as we do that, Sandra, we're going to play our favorite. That's right, guys. We actually have our very own way. I got a picture this time, y'all. Hold on. Wait a minute, Cheryl, before I play the song. Y'all going to be like, oh, y'all get cold-blooded. Here we go. Bam! Check that out, y'all. So we're going to go ahead on. We're going to let this song play. They weren't ready for that show. We're going to let the song play. And this is a sister, Let Me Do Your Hair by the beautiful, lovely Rachel Evans. Here we go. Hey. It's a beautiful song. Hey. What's up, Reggae Wonderland? Come on. If you would let me do. Y'all like my new hair color? What's up, Cheryl? I'm feeling golden.
So it's a little more vibrant.
Okay. I got my undercut. Check that out, Reggae Wonderland. I got my undercut. Dr. Spritz hooked me up. It's a happy Monday. I'll be so very happy if you would let me do your hair. Come on, let us do your hair. Come on, let me and Cheryl do your hair. Let us do your hair. Y'all want me singing? Y'all better let me in. Do that little big head bounce. Check it out. All right, y'all get y'all sleeves rolled up, get y'all hair pinned back, or you can let your hair down, pick it out, get your dreads all twisted up real good. Come on, get them ponytails going, because we are about to do your hair today. All right, now. That is, of course, by the lovely, lovely Miss Rachel Evans. We're talking about, let me just put that up right quick. We're talking about, hey, I think that picture looked like me if I had it in a quickie read. You know what I'm saying? What y'all think? I think that's how I would look if I had a quickie read. All right, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, we are on our 68th episode. Can you believe that? We have been kicking it strong right here on all the social media platforms. If you are joining us from YouTube or if you are returning from either of the social media platforms, it's so glad to see you again. If this is your first time, welcome, whether you are joining us on YouTube or if you are joining us on LinkedIn. And of course, if you are joining us on Facebook, we are always excited to have our partners, right? That's PNC, our partners in cosmetology, right here on these lovely social media platforms. That's right. Come on, Sandra. I'm gonna let you do my hair. All right, all right, all right. But we got some interesting. We always got to do our little current events, right? So I went on through the I get my current events off of Yahoo. Google used to have some good stuff, but Google is like in love with Beyonce. So every time I go to Google for their current events, you just see Beyonce. What's her daughter's name again? Oh, I forgot her daughter.
Right.
Blue Ivy. Yes, I would have never thought of that one. But anywho, that's an interesting name. Yes. So her daughter, they're just so in love with her. So, we got enough of Beyonce. She got enough beehives out here. I ain't gonna talk about Beyonce because sure we say something about Beyonce, they're gonna shut down our YouTube channel. Hey Beyonce, how you doing? Hey Blue Purple, Blue Ivy. Oops, Blue Ivy. Okay. All right, don't y'all come and get me. Don't you come and get me. But here is what I saw on Yahoo's current events. Check this out. Look, and she got some hair back. Now, this is my thing. So she went on to her, I think it was her Instagram, and Jada Pinkett said, "Yo, y'all, look at my hair. It's trying to come back." Now, I'm just gonna say this, Cheryl. Now I know you might not like this, and I'm not even remotely trying to, play down the seriousness of alopecia. I do not know Jada Pinkett, but you know what they say: opinions are like cell phones. Everybody has one, but she done put some more lightener in that hair, y'all. Y'all see that? I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna tell you what I think happened to Jada Pinkett's hair. I think Jada Pinkett jacked her hair up, and she has some issues, and she tried to use the alopecia as like the scapegoat. But I'm not a dermatologist, and I don't know Jada Pinkett, but I'm just saying her hair looks absolutely beautiful, and I think she just kind of didn't want to fess up that she probably was at home with the lightener too much, because I kind of, I kind of followed those pictures, and I was like, I don't know. And have you guys noticed, like, nobody who's ever done her hair has ever come forth to say, yeah, I can vouch for this. I started to see some signs. I mean, cosmetologists, we really don't tell folks business. I know I don't, but I'm just saying. Anywho, so that was that. All right. Okay. So do you guys really think Blue Ivy? Okay, yeah, Blue Ivy. What do you guys think about Jada Pinkett's hair returning back? I love the blonde on top, by the way. So I think that's pretty sad. Here's another good one. You guys are gonna love this one. Are you guys ready? Hold on, let me get it. Y'all gonna be like, what? Now remember the flash mob, right? You guys remember the flash mob that went through somewhere in California? They actually ran past Cheryl's house. She's going out the window to look and see if they're still out there with all those clothes. They ran past Cheryl's house all the way over to Beverly Hills, and they bum rushed the Louis Vuitton store. And it was all on Twitter that black people were just making black people look really really bad, and all those black people went in there and stole all that stuff. That's why black folk can't have stuff. Well, here's what they had to say about black people doing a flash mob in Beverly Hills. Okay. They wasn't even black. They was on Twitter saying, why they gotta be black? How come they couldn't be something else? So I don't know who said that, but I thought the same thing. Like, how come every time something like that happened, they always say it's black people?
First flash mob arrest in Americana at Brand Mall robbery. Because they're Mexican.
Huh.
They don't want to say Mexican.
What do they mean? First flash mob arrest in Americana. What does that mean?
America.
Is that the name of the mall? Americana Mall?
Well, I think they're trying to say that Americana is ethnic. If you Google the word Americana.
Hold on, let me look it up. Come on, Goop. Come on, man. Hold on, y'all. We're gonna get to the topic, but I gotta Cheryl always taking us to another level. Americana. Okay, Americana. Americana, a genre or style of American music or culture. It's a culture. What does Americana mean? Materials concerning of characteristics of America is civilization or its culture.
Yeah, instead of saying brown, instead of saying Mexican, instead of saying Latino, instead of saying ratchet Latinos, instead of ratchet as Mexicans. Instead of saying,
what y'all say? I see the chat.
Especially in LA, where there's Chicanos, there's Latinos, and there's Mexicans. Instead of saying it, they say Americana.
Miss Foster says she ain't claiming. Miss Foster, come on now. Everybody, come on, huh? Let me show them again. Y'all know. Now, that kind of look like my half cousin, No, that cousin and over there to the right, that look like that might be Guadalupe. No, that ain't Guadalupe. Okay. All right.
That's a Mexican.
Okay, those are Mexicans. So to those who thought those were black people stealing all that Louis Vuitton, well, now I'm not saying there were no black people involved, but so far, those are not the people that they have arrested. All right. So no, that's what's up. Hold up. Wait a minute, y'all. Everybody pause. My boss is in the chat. So you know what my boss, look at that, Cheryl. Everybody drop your L's in the chat. Hold on, boss. My boss, she be checking on me. Like, Ladosha, you better be at work. Check that out, boss. There you go. My boss, Lavina Joseph, is in the chat. Come on, y'all. Drop y'all L's. Let me make sure you guys are not sleeping on Cheryl and I. You have tuned in to the 68th episode of The Dumbest Shit That People Say About Black Hair. And tonight we're going to be talking about race and hair, particularly around black and brown people. Come on, that's right. Drop them L's. That's right, Sam. Y'all go ahead and drop them L's in the chat. Put y'all L's up, Lavina. All right, now you see that, boss? My boss, like, stop it. She's from the island. She's like, oh, stop it, Ladosha. Stop it. She doesn't call me Ladosha. She calls me Ladoskers. I love my boss. I love her so much. Okay, so here's one more. I think you guys are gonna love this. So every now and then, like, I'm on Facebook doesn't have the good reels like what's like TikTok. But I was on Facebook and check this reel out. You guys get ready.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and then they got go up. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
That is the man. Listen, I'm telling you, hands down, that's a really good reel. I don't know who he is. I don't know his name, but I thought, what better way to get the
They don't know nothing
podcast
about that.
going?
They don't know nothing about that.
I don't know who made the song. I will, maybe I can find out who made the
I think
song.
he right. It sound like he made it.
When he said, "You got to get up, get out the bed, bitch. Come on, go." Oh, I would have loved to have played that for my children. So it is back to school season. That means hair salons and barbershops. We are super duper busy. So I just thought that was very befitting for back to school. So let's hop right into the topic we're going to be discussing today. And this one, guys, is now. I'm gonna take this topic of race and hair, and I'm just gonna give my personal take on it, Cheryl, and then you know how I like to kind of like to drag you in the middle of it, and you just try to clean it up. So here's the thing. There is a school of thought. Now, me personally, I am not a anthropologist or a geneticist or whatever you want to call it, but I do have an ist at the end of my career name. So back up off me, smell the coffee. And so this whole thing about race and hair, I'm telling you right now, I don't like it. I never had, I never did, I probably never will. So the problem that I'm having is that when we're saying things like mixed hair, biracial hair, good hair, y'all know we gotta say good hair. Um, Here's the favorite one. Are you mixed with Indian? You know what I'm talking about. If you know about the Indian hair, have you ever been asked where you mixed with Indian? I'm like, I used to be asked that.
Native American, or from India?
I have no idea. This is what I don't like. And I don't like it for a whole bunch of reasons. But professionally, I'm going to tell you why it is probably the worst thing the beauty industry can do. Now, I know companies want us to sell products. So I'm going to put that over here, right? And I know the school is trying to teach us, some things too. But I'm going to tell you the truth, Cheryl. When we are working behind the chair, I'm going to tell you honestly, customers don't like that shit. They don't like when you try to determine who they are by way of race or ethnicity according to their hair. When customers sit in the chair, they like to be looked at as the individual person. They don't really like this. Oh, are you mixed? Oh, you got that good hair. Now, they may come in with the language. They may talk about it, to us, but they just don't like their hair to be described like that. So can we just come off the rip? This we don't even when we go live and people are watching the podcast, they're like, hurry up. Get to the point. We ain't got all day. Come on. Don't your ass be talking so much. So let's just come on off the rip. And what are your thoughts about race and hair? Can you really determine or guesstimate? I don't know if that's such a word. And what do you guys think in the chat? Can you tell what ethnicity or race a person is or probably is a part of by way of their hair?
Mm-hmm. I will say that it is one of the reasons why we started Afro Hair Science Summit, because politics gets in there, and then socialism gets in there, and then anthropology, like you say, gets in there. But anthropology in science is so much more accurate because there is really no such thing as a separate race. Now, I think the issue is when the texture begins to look straight and you're still black. I don't think we have a problem when you're black and it's highly coiled. I think we get caught up when there is a African descending person with little or to no European, Asian, or Hispanic bloodline close to that particular person's hereditary. Uh, I think that we have a problem with black people with straight hair. I don't think we have a problem with black people with coiled hair. And there are black people with straight hair. And that is where, because of course, I don't think cosmetology has saved enough space for a logical and scientific conversation. I think we are responsible for straightening people out about that, about this particular subject. But even we get caught into the political and socioeconomic issues of race and racism, because straight hair is deemed easier, it's deemed silkier, it's deemed feels better, it deems that it's better to take care of, it's easier to take care of, and it has all of the privileges of a racist society. And I think that once black people with straight hair gets caught in there, we act like they don't exist. But it's only when we get caught up that when because there's Europeans with highly coiled hair.
Mm.
Then we get caught up. Then what do we do then? And let's just admit we don't have a conversation um, for those two extremes. We only have a conversation for white and black mixed people, and then black folks with
Hmm.
hair. We don't have a real scientific platform. We don't have a protocol of conversation.
Hold on, Kilo Low. Because I got some science for y'all. Y'all get ready. Everybody roll y'all sleeves up. Come on. Because y'all know me. I'm a Google scholar. I ain't ashamed to say it. So here's what I found. We played this clip before, but there is some teachings about this. So here we go, Cheryl. Let's get these clips going. Here we go.
Asians and Europeans mainly have straight follicles. As a result, cross sections of black hair appear elliptical or flattened, while white hair is oval and Asian is round.
What you talking about, Willis?
Okay. Now,
Crickets, why y'all quiet in the chat? Y'all know they be teaching that.
what
It's in my book.
her statement is artistically, optically true, but it's not scientifically true, because we have to talk about what makes that particular hair strand that shape, not the fact that it's that shape. And so that is kind of what westernized thought process, when they're getting ready to create some classism for you, they only talk about one angle and they don't talk about why. I think what they do is they say, well, the reason why black people have coiled hair, that the hair strand wants to coil, osculate, twist, or spiral or curl, whatever they like to call it. They want to say that the follicle, the mouth, the shape of the follicle makes that hair shape that way. But we only talk about the strand. Well, then if that's the case, then why don't we examine the follicle of black people? But they don't ever go there because they know it's bullshit. They don't know,
Hmm.
and they don't want to know, and they don't care to know. Cosmetologists and everyone on this particular podcast has never raised the question for its geneticists and scientists to say, okay, well, and this is what they'll say, well, the mouth is so tight of African Americans that it causes a squeezing. And just like a ribbon comes out, and by default of that smaller hole, it makes a ribbon just like scissors would do to a ribbon. Now, that is much as far as they've gotten, but of course, they don't want to actually really get into its ancestry. It is a bodily function. It is a reason why it's the anatomy of Black people that makes Black people's hair coil. Now, we can get into it scientifically deep. However, I think when I was presenting at the medical center that we were in July,
Mm-hmm.
I was showing that hair follicles have an electromagnetic field inside of the follicle, and that the follicle in that particular area of any inner roof sheath, any follicle, anything has its own energy system. It's not indicative of blood flow. But they don't really want to get into the real dynamics of why certain parts of African in that bloodline, as it goes through the diaspora, and why these people still have a dominant ability to create coils over
Mm-hmm.
generations after generations. And there's only one family, one human family, that comes out with that particular hair texture, and it's worth scientific study, but no one wants to
I
do that.
think so. I think it's definitely worth the scientific study, because we do have some school of thoughts about the role genetics play in that as well. So let's hear what this influencer, her school of thoughts around genetics in hair. So we're getting somewhere. Let's see what she has to say.
And I feel like a lot of us are using genetics or even just the fact that we're Black as an excuse for why we won't be able to grow long hair. So on average, hair grows for 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch a month. Some people's hair can grow even slower than that, and some people's can grow even faster than that. In one of my previous videos, I misspoke and I said that Black people's hair grows the same rate as all other people's hair. And while it may be true for some Black people that their hair grows as fast as, like, say, a white person, on average, the hair of Black people grows slightly slower.
All right, we're talking about Black and brown people. So we're going to get into the Black and brown part in a minute. Just hang on in there with us, but we're just kind of building up to this. So she's saying that for Black people, that our hair grows slower because this is something. Now, these are real life phenomenons that take place in the hair salon where Black people are really concerned about how fast they'll come in. They're like, is it growing? Is it getting there? They want the t-shirts. Y'all know what I'm talking about with the little measurements on there. So what is this about Black and brown people? Does our hair grow fast or slower compared to other hues of humans?
Well, she that's not a scientific fact. She just said
Yes.
it's not true. And Black people. Now, I know Black people love to be cosmic. We love to be esoteric. We love to be spiritual, and we love to be, all encompassed of these real, Afro-centric beings. But I want to genetically announce to you, length is not a metric system, a metric measuring stick for African descending Black coiled people. You cannot determine growth in a direction that your hair does not grow. It is not possible. You guys keep wanting to define your hair growth the same as a white person. You cannot define a dominant prototype and define it the way you define a recessive prototype. That
Now,
is insane.
now you said something. You went. Did y'all see the way Cheryl kind of? I saw that she went jiu-jitsu. You went like the African with the you. So you matched the person with the hair. You didn't just take this textured hair and brush it over all black and brown people. You identified a specific group of people who may have that type of hair, and then you went. How? I know we all.
Well, why nature decided to give the first human beings on the planet a particular hair texture that is so dominant that it knew that it needed to be so dominant and coil to be able to fit other people inside of the genetic expression. You have to start very, 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 so you can get variations if that so happens to be a natural unfolding of human beings in the spectrum of how they're going to look. You can't start out with the weakest link. You got to start out with the strongest link. In that particular genetic people have the most of everything. Let me give you an example. I don't know if you guys have ever paid attention to it. All
right, be ready.
If you pay attention to the first person that comes out of your mother's womb, usually they will be robust. They will be, I hate to say it, smarter. They will be larger. They will be the eldest. The first out of your mother's womb gets to have the most fullest, most fruitful human being first.
Oh, that's why my brother, he had everything. I knew it was some shit to that. And they talk about mothers don't have favorites. Oh, yes, they do.
I ain't talking about no favorites. I'm not talking about favorites.
Not in a superficial, no. I'm being very, very, that's very interesting. That is. I don't know. What do you guys think? Don't be crickets in the chat. Look at your siblings. Think back. Look across to your brothers and your sisters. If your cat and your dog, those don't count, okay? But that's very, very interesting.
So genetics disperses dark skin, but it may disperse according to that gene expression and how you're coming in and what ancestor is contributing. You may get the dark skin, but you will get the light eyes. You may get brown eyes, but then you may get dishwater blonde hair, even though my parents and grandparents and great-great-grandparents have black hair. But why would I be the smartest of the bunch, but I have blonde hair? You know, and so when genes get to express chromosomes, chroma means color, some means body.
Did y'all write that down? Chroma means color, somes mean body. Color, body.
And colors create a certain amount of energy. So in to bring you to the earth, you are given a certain dispersion of energy, and that comes into, and how the way you look and the way, but the first people on the planet must be dominant.
Okay, now they must be dominant, but you still have people who feel like this when it comes to hair. Here's another clip, guys. Get ready. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Let me move this out the way. All right, here we go.
Today we're going to show you how we maintain our daughter's hair. Olivia is mixed, so her hair is biracial mixed hair, which means she has more than one different texture. She has very curly hair. Very, very curly hair.
Okay, so now I hope you guys are following this. Now, if you have any questions about this, please, guys, this is don't just sit here and watch us. Let's pick the ham sandwich out of Cheryl's brain. So I did not know this, but there are some people who deem biracial hair as having different textures on one human head of hair. So now, is that I haven't seen it. I mean, I've seen it where people have certain skin, issues, and the hair could be softer in the back. But I'm sorry, I'm not mad. I'm telling you, I've yet to see two different textures of hair on one head of hair. So
It's not true.
I do it.
What they're saying is that, and when we were at the Brown Aveda Institute, and we were talking about Afro texture at the Afro Hair Summit, I began to explain to you that the scalp has the different distribution of fat according to how it juxtaposes or how it fits on your skull. But it is not that the texture is different, it's the fat distribution of the scalp. Now, most people will have very fuzzy hair in the top, right there in the center. Some will have a slicker and smoother texture here, or then they'll have a wet, this is the hair they prefer in the back, right? Where it's fatty and the tissue and subcutaneous tissue is wetter. But what she is actually pointing to is that some of the curls stick together in a ringlet and some of the hair frizzes. That's what she's talking about.
Yeah,
It's
not
like
an optical illusion.
Right.
Yeah, because
when it's wet, she won't say that because all the hair will be right.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
only
Right. Yeah. It's definitely more of an optical illusion. And sometimes it's the stress. Like some people, like you said, they'll slick their hair back more, or they'll bun it here more. They'll, pull it back right here more.
Mm-hmm.
So the phenomenon that you guys are seeing is really, you're just touching the fabric more like any other, like, you get a hole in your shirt, and you still wear it.
Right. And when you see most men who have what they consider waves, they'll like the waves here and they'll like the waves here, but they don't like that center part. Yeah. And then when the hair gets close to the hairline, it frizzes on out.
Right. People have very different. So that was one person's explanation called biracial hair. So the phenomenon of biracial hair is really more, guys, of what we're seeing with the eye. But that was her definition. So there are various definitions of biracial hair.
Yeah, but what is made up, and us as cosmetologists have to correct her.
Yeah, we do. We have to correct her. But what about this definition of hair? Here we go. Get ready.
People have been asking, what's my nationality? So I'm going to let y'all know I am ghetto, classy, crazy, African American, hood chick. That's me right there.
What you talking about, Willie?
So here's the thing. A lot of people.
She looks like a black woman.
So there are people who think that when your hair looks a certain way, and I know you guys in the chat know what I'm talking about, they question your ethnicity. Like, what are you? So what do you say to people?
Fatu, this is where you need Africans. Okay, you need our brothers and sisters inside of the motherland of this continent of Africa. Some people will only deem a Wolof to look, or a Indo, the crust of the Inder in the central, where the sun and most of at the equator. Those black people look different, but the black people and the African people on the horn, the eastern horn, with the straight hair, wavy, soft, silky, wet looking Ethiopian, kind of texture. Those are not Africans, or whatever. They're not black enough. It is so preposterous. And that is the damage of racism because you're only talking about good hair, so it will not be difficult. But who told you, like you said in the first in the narrative, who told you that coiled hair was bad? That is a socio-political, a psychological damage that has nothing to do with what cosmetology have to separate that. You can't get into that. You have to be able to say texture is something given by the African continent, the first people, which is the genetic parents. The mitochondria gives whatever it gives, no matter where you are. That is how strong that dominant gene is. That's how strong the phenotypes are. That's their purpose. You will be the omega, the alpha and the omega. It is not going to ever die out. The straight hair will not define the human race. It will not define it. It will only define a small group. Now, every time you see diagrams, now the second video you showed, she says, well, she's defining on how fast hair grows, but she doesn't take into consideration that Black people's hair growth is not linear. Doesn't grow up. And it's so fascinating why white people always will scientifically depict their hair standing straight up. But Black people, hair grows straight up, but we want to pull it down. And even their diagrams are not scientifically correct, because white people grow like that.
Wow. This is very, very powerful, because now we're at the precipice. Now we're going to move up to the point of the Black and brown hair. So let me just show you this video. This is from a young lady from the Dominican Republic, and here's what she has to say, because now we're kind of seeing this swell of this textured hair, as Cheryl was saying, that the diaspora, because remember, Africans left. They didn't just stay there. So here's her take. Here we go.
In the Dominican Republic, having kinky or coarse hair is perceived as something that's unclean, unkempt, something that is simply not beautiful.
I say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
All right, now, here we go, y'all. It's about to get heated. So now, in this conversation of Black and brown people, now, in my understanding, y'all know I'm a little nerd here. Black and brown was a term that was kind of like created, in that Jim Crow era on like oppression and all this, that, and the third. But now it's moved over into hair. And so you got two schools of thought. So one, you have like Afro-Dominican, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Latino, right? So are they meaning the hair Afro? Because there is an argument that there's cultural appropriation. So I wish I had three hands. So you've got the ethnicity, Afro-Dominican, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Latino, right? And then you coming over here, do they mean Afro? And right in the middle, right, is they are taking the culture of Blackness, so it's Black hair, is Afro-Latino, the ethnicity. Black hair is in the middle, right? And then you have the whole, hair itself. So how do you unpack this Black and brown? Because you see products like Miel Organics, Shea Moisture. These are not quote unquote Black people, but they're really, really capitalizing on this Black and brown moniker, where Black people and the people in the middle are spending oodles of money on this thing called Black. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, once again, coiledness is indicative of Blackness. Now, if she had gotten, which she has, gotten her colonial papa or patrilineal or matriarch line. If she would have gotten whoever is making her the Dominican portion of that equation, if she would have gotten more Spaniard, see, Hispaniola. Hispaniola is not brown, it's European.
What?
It's not Dominican. It means, do you guys, the Dominican Republic is the dominion over the republic. That's what the British called it. I take dominion over the republic, and then they call themselves Dominican. It's not a name of a real true ethnic group. That's the only reason why. Now Puerto Ricans call themselves rich ports. That's what they call themselves. Now, does it know? We don't know who their matrilineal people were, where their mother people came from. 9 times out of 10, the black part of the Afro part or the Afro part is obviously descendants of Africa, Afro. But the Afro part is indicative of Africa. But the problem is when she shook her head and she did this and her curls would move, that is part of the racial mixing that creates her to have a little more privilege than the one that's hair don't move, which would be very African without the Dominican colonial Spaniard European racial mix. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but that's very interesting. What do you guys think about what she just said? Because first of all, I did not know that they were considered. I mean, I don't know. I thought the hair made
their name, their nationhood is not who the people are. I know they call themselves Dominican. I'm Dominican. That means that's a Spaniard name for dominion, which means they were conquered by colonialism, just like Africa was. That's why you have dark-skinned people speaking Spanish or Portuguese. And so, but it's European colonizing, but it's the same thing. And so you get here, and even when you even search Mexico in the history of the Tejano Indian versus the Taino Indian, those people have been at war. They don't like each other. Dominicans don't like Puerto Ricans, and Puerto Ricans don't like Dominicans, and they all don't like Mexicans. You know what I mean? So they have, it's the same thing. But as cosmetologists, we have to know when to separate the science from the socio-political bullshit conversation, because that is what gets us in trouble.
It does. It really, really does. This whole do you do Dominican blowout? I'm like, no, but there's only one way to blow dry hair. I don't know what the Dominican thing is.
And you have to remember, they have in their in the Dominican Republic, in their landmass and geographical area, they do have the Afro textures of the Indo-African and Western African and the Southern. And so when you get to North and East, where that hair starts looking a little silky, a little wavy, but that is not the poster child of what Africa or African Black people are. Only the tight coiled. And that's because of the programming. Africa makes so much diversity that it created inside of the continent straight hair before it was on a continent called Europa. White people didn't know.
Hold on, back it up. Wait a minute. Hold on, Sandra. She got to back that up. Now, I'm sorry, we got to digress for a little bit, just a little bit.
Sorry to tell Black people that white people did not exclusively gestate to straight hair. It was on the continent before it was on the head of a white
Wait a
person.
minute. Hold up, Cheryl. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. Me and Cheryl gonna have this little discussion. Now, let me say this to you right quick. Now, didn't they say something about on the continent, like the sun was hot, and so our hair had to be tight so it could, cool us off. So if it was so hot and we had to have this tight hair, so what with the straight hair? I mean,
Well, that's just an intellectual, lazy perspective of it. That's not what's really going on. If you guys were to go to NASA, or you guys will Google a diagram of the energy that comes from the sun, why do they draw a squiggly line?
because it's the heat, like emanating. It's the heat.
It's called a pattern of how energy moves. That's how energy moves. That's how the earth moves. Nothing that in the universe is linear except weak energy, dying energy, recessive energy.
That
And
sounds so mean, though, don't it, y'all? Come on,
wait. Now you went. Now let me just say this: ain't nobody saying that. See, the African never said that they had a problem with that, because you know why we didn't ever have a problem with it? Because you can have straight hair as an African, but you got brown eyes. It gave you something else. See, the Afrocentricity idea is that we are created equally, not equal. We get what we are supposed to have. What is the saying? What's for me is for me. Well, then that's what the nature does. That's what the great African mother does. It gives you what you should have for your gene expression, according to what was in your instructions in your DNA when you were made. But it don't have anything to do with class and this sick social ill that Europeans bring to every landmass. It has nothing to do with control of people or classes of people, political, geopolitics, economic politics. It has nothing to do with that. See, and we have to make sure as cosmetologists, we have to separate in that we did not make coils better than straight hair. We didn't say, oh, excuse me, oh my God, you came from where? Europe? Ugh. Oh my God, this is awful. Okay, well, you have straight hair. I can't do anything with it. I don't know. We didn't do that. We just said it is what it is, and come on over here and we can share all of our vast resources because we have so much here that it blows your mind. In fact, we will always have as much than everyone else. That's why we are the kindest, because we have everything. We don't need anything at all. That's the whole point.
And you know what? Cheryl is so correct, because Fatu was here speaking exactly like that, because there is a school of thought that Africans are not the metric. They are not the gold standard, and they do not determine what is Black, what is African. I'm not making this up, guys. And that's coming out of the natural hair community. So what do you say to people who really don't buy what you just said about Africans having that school of thought of oneness, abundance, sharing?
Well, here's the thing that,
because they consider Black is different from Africa. So you go, Miss Goody Two Shoe, Dr. Cheryl Morrow, which
Africa. Well, we only created Black because they created a white class.
Come on.
We didn't create Black just because we wanted to. They created Negro, right?
Right.
The Portuguese and the British. They created Negro. Okay. Then we went from, then we went to colored. Then we went from that and then nigger. Then we went from, and then we landed at, Black power, because we already know that every life comes from Black. We get it. It is the most fullest, most dominant force on earth. They get it. The quintessence is Black. They get dark matter. They get it. There's no scientific world, mathematics, and no chemistry, no medical field. They get it. They understand. The key here is that the ones who were born with it and create and understand it and have most of the pigment and all of that, we never created a system to where when you lacked it or you didn't have enough of it, or your genes expressed recessive to the point where it gave you a particular skin, we never made you feel bad about it. So we don't own it. But when you politicized it and you created a white race, you started telling me that Black was the absence of color and white is the essence of color, when a 5-year-old already knows that's not true. And so we to intellectually become so malfeasant and just create falsehoods so we can have an agenda. Now, it is up for us as cosmetologists that deals with form, matter, physicality, patterns, geometric patterns. We deal with form. We have to be responsible to get us out of these mindsets that create divisions on the social class level, because it's not scientifically true. Now, but we got to get scholarly and some more scholastically savvy so we can have this conversation.
Right, because we definitely need to have this conversation. So here, this came from a documentary. It's on PBS. I will drop it in the chat afterwards. These are 2 documentaries, these last 2 clips. So here is an effort to do exactly what you said. Now, I said this again, guys, we don't make this stuff up. So here is this clip right here that speaks to what you're saying.
Did you forget? Because you were born with all this magic, gifted to you by me magic. They tried to take it from you magic, desperate to burn off all this magic. Until you found yourself back to the ocean and you remembered, didn't you? The waves sang back memories as you dipped your crown into me.
Las dominicanas tienen como un arte. Ellas saben qué es lo que hay que hacer con el pelo.
This is for every Black girl's ritual to beauty. This is for every Black girl healing. This is for every Black girl who don't know she Black.
All right. So, and that just speaks to your point about the politicizing of hair and people and human beings. This is why I agree with you as cosmetologists. We are the people who need to end that type of rhetoric, and we need to call it out for what it is. Politicizing people and hair and ethnicities, these are bad things. And here, that woman, she was Dominican, and they lived a life of just being ostracized because of the texture of their hair, the color of their skin, because they were deemed as Black. And so, like she said, I think somebody who put this in the chat about the Costa Ricans. We have to understand, like Cheryl said, a lot of this stuff, it's just that. These are, here it is. Miss Foster put that up. And Costa Ricans call themselves, Rich Coast. That some of these names that we hear, we don't even understand where these names have even come from.
And well, they come from domination. They come from the colonial era. They come from... And that is where you have to understand, in the Western Hemisphere, Spain, France, you go to French Polynesia. They didn't call themselves that. Who knows what they called themselves? who knows where their mother people were before or during or before European conquest. We don't know what they were. My thing is this, and I'll be very clear. You have the Cubans, you have black people from Peru and Belize. You have them from all over. But I don't know if a Fijian is going to look at another Fijian with a little slicker or straighter texture and now call and create a caste system and say that my Fijian Afro, because now my genes expressed a little more coil, and they don't have quite the social political structure as the continental US has, but they have been conquest. And so, and when you do have these conquests, you do have these particular systems that divide people because you can't divide them. Now, Europeans didn't choose to divide you by your intelligence. They decided to use a feature, lips, nose, eyes, hair, because that was the only thing. Now, this is just my take. This is the very thing. Their features, that's the only thing that makes them self-conscious. So what they do is they project and have created a system of ostracism and classism based on how you look, because I don't think that they are quite, we don't talk about it, but I think that they don't like the way they look. And so they created systems of treatments that have been horrible. I mean, have created atrocities.
Right. And we right. And we need not do that. We definitely, most certainly, we don't do that on this platform. You want to know why? Because we want you guys to do this. That's right. You guys continue to partner with us. I love to give my homeboy Asar Imhotep his props for encouraging me to do that, because we definitely appreciate and we need you guys' support here on YouTube and all the other platforms. By the way, if you haven't, can you please go ahead on and hit that thumbs up button? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. And then also share the content. If you know a barber, if you know a cosmetologist, if you know a natural hairstylist, a loctician, and maybe they're kind of struggling with some of this language, we now know the term to use is, socio-political, division that created all of this stuff, because those people who live in those places like America, were conquered. And so it's the conquering that has caused a lot of this mess that hair has got placed into. And now we have hair care companies who have bought into the whole art of conquering, and they're definitely taking advantage of a lot of people. And we at barbershops, at hair salons and braiding places, we're very confused, and we're kind of spewing a lot of this misinformation, just knowing, that we're doing something right, when in fact, we are only making matters worse. So let's end this up with one last clip, which I think you'll really appreciate this one, Cheryl. Here we go.
In different ways and with different descriptions, a lot of Native people will talk about hair as a source of spiritual strength, but also with hair, it's a way of saying, I am proud of and connected to and recognizable to my ancestors. Hair is also something that speaks to identity. So if I have a short haircut, I could easily pass as Hispanic, Filipino, maybe Arab, Greek. But with braids, it's pretty obvious that I'm a Native man. And it's also something that many Native people wear as a way to counteract their experience with invisibility.
Absolutely. I will drop the link to both of those documentaries in the chat after we go live. Once it posts, it takes a minute for it to, populate on here onto YouTube, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. But that's a beautiful, beautiful documentary. And I think, the Indians, I watched the documentary, I watched several of them, and we could see a lot of the cross-cultural beliefs that we see in African American culture that's also shared in common with some Indian culture. But like he said, how we wear our hair, it gives us the ability to express ourselves as individuals. And when we do things that are out of order of how we want to be as individuals, so we don't get to be authentic. And so that's not to say that if you're an Indian, you can't cut your hair, or if you're a Black woman, you can't wear your hair, red and orange or in a ponytail. But to his point, we encourage everybody to show up, as their authentic selves. But this socio-political division has caused the beauty industry and barber industry to be in a very, very bad place. And so we have hair care companies who don't know this. So as we get ready to close this out, what can we say to people who are watching right now who's caught up in the buy, spin cycle of visiting hair salons, barbershops, natural hair places, and the droves of stores and cabinets full of hair care products, looking for the holy grail, unbeknownst the role that the conquistadors has played in all of this, all the way till today.
I'm not going to be as nice as you are, but I want you to make sure that you guys understand that.
Let me get my tea. Hold on. Yes, Cheryl.
I want you to understand what you heard. Okay. It was a nice story. I don't care, because what he was saying is that his identity differentiates him. He didn't say he can be his authentic self. I don't, as a Black woman and as my Black people in this country, I don't care about their brown experience, because that man I can care less what his identity, because what he is saying is that he wears his hair proudly because he wants to not be Greek. He doesn't want to be white. He doesn't want to be Spanish. He doesn't want people to get his identity screwed up. He don't want it to get mucked up in the soup. He wants to be a native man. Okay. He said that very clear, and you have to make sure that you understand that. And that was a political statement when he said that. And my point is this: I, as a publisher, in a political arena and ecosystem, I make sure that I do not say brown. I do not embrace it. I do not embrace. I have nothing to do with their experience. I have an experience as a Black woman and as Black people in the continental U.S. And I'm saying that because one of the things because there's no different of the way he looks than the man that voted on the slavery education in Florida. He doesn't look any different. He can hide. He can do whatever he wants to do with whatever Asian history as Native Americans or Mexican or whatever the case may be. Politically, I think that Black people, and I'm just making a separate statement, that these particular, when white people created a white race, okay, that was to put you in a group that has privileges and the other ones who look like the other ones don't. And so just as because brown is not saying Dominican, brown is not saying Mexican, brown, because if you would just say brown, you would just say Latino. but only black people say brown, and because brown people don't ever say black. And I just wanted to make sure that was understood, because I think that there is the dangers, because you are correct. They hide inside of when they want to get their products, and when they want to get their hair combed and they want to look pretty and beautiful, they want your black hands on their hair. But then after they leave, they get to be swallowed into something called the Dominican or whatever the case may be. But that's just my emotional connection to it. But as a cosmetologist, I have to speak science and the facts. But when it comes to really getting down with this conversation, I'm only concerned with the black part.
Okay.
Well, I don't have no ... after my black part.
Okay, so we got another clip. I just saw we had two more. Here we go. We got two more. Here we go. What about this one?
What about her family generations before her, though? The name Beyonce, meaning beyond others, is a family name. In fact, it is her mother's maiden name. Sounds a bit French, doesn't it? We will get to that in a moment. Some have questioned whether or not Beyonce is black, biracial, mixed race, or Creole.
What you talking about, Will?
There it is. To your point, we see the confusion. It worsens and worsens when you're talking about how that brown people, they still have a way to somehow, pass.
Let me just say this. I'm going to say this too. You can check your history. Native Americans were no friend of black people in this country. Not at all. Not one single solitary. No, not at all. So I don't know. So once again, we get that. Now, maybe the Seminoles in, the Seminoles in Florida. It took 4 U.S. presidents to get the Seminole black people out of the state of Florida, then move them down to Mexico. But let me just say this. The features of Miss Tina, and the features, here we go again. They didn't give a shit what that nose looked like on the Sphinx in the Giza Plateau. They shot it off because it wasn't their nose.
That's not true, though. They did not shoot that off. They said it fell off. Anywho, the other.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. What did the French say? And where is it?
Well, there's reports that it's in the Louvre. It's
not in the Louvre. It's in the British Museum. Ivan Van Sertima already did a big speech, and they tried to get it back, just like they try to get all their shit back. They shit is still there. But that's the but let me just say this. It's features. They had the in order to create social division, why Europeans chose features to do that, not brown eye color like Miss Jane Elliott. They choose hair and nose and lips, butts, cheekbones, skin color. It's pretty telling to me that there is a psychological defect there.
Okay, let's see this last psychological defect.
Some people were commenting like, oh, I'm mixed with Indian and white. Can I lay my edges? Like, you guys were literally like saying, please reply back. Like, as if you guys were seeking validation from a black woman from me.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, wait. Well, what she got naturally smooth? See,
it just goes back to the whole I'm mixed thing, to your point. Just this whole again, it's the politicizing of the lands, the people, and how they use our physical features to pretty much succeed in divide and conquering. And so here we are today as licensed professionals having this conversation because we don't with Miss Foster, like, get it, who cares? Okay, all right. I was trying to be all kumbaya-ish, but I mean, I'm just saying,
well, let me just say this. We all know that me and you sound like black people, right?
Word.
Right? We sound black, right? Okay. Now, what is that? What is in black people's throats that make them sound black?
Who wants to take a stab at that one? Come on, Sandra, wake up. We got some folks in the chat. What is it about us that makes us sound black?
You automatically know that that's a black person. Now, we're not talking about all black people, because all black people can kind of some of them kind of trip you up a little bit.
Okay. You meant Beyonce. Okay. Soul. Okay. Come on, Sandra. We got soul. Hey.
Right. And that actually is a very good answer. But when you ask people and you ask black people, well, then what is soul?
It's attitude.
When James Brown said soul, or on the black side, or what you sound black, and I want and white people know what it is. They know what it is. That it's a tone, but it's a tone that is very heavy, and blackness is dense. And when you're talking about dense, it means that it has a depth to it. It's not shallow. It doesn't sound shallow. It's almost like a musical note. Something that sounds rich versus it sounds weak, or it sounds light, or it doesn't have any heaviness to it. And when you are talking about even food, our food tastes different, and want that essence. We talk about the essence of blackness. Well, if black people can't define it, well, it gets defined for you. And then once it gets defined for you, from there, low on the spectrum, now here they come. They the kids. They the kids of 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 the kids. And we're black folks, and black Africans are literally the genetic parents of the human race. They get it. But from that purview, they look back at the dominant of black people. What do you think they see? They don't see black people. They see what they're not. They only look back maybe a few gestations. They only see a few development. And the key here is for us to be able to see people and to see all of them. They can't see all of them. They don't see the whole gamut. They only see themselves and maybe some other people with some straight hair. They may see the brown. They may see some yellow. They can probably see some yellow. But the darker you get, boom, the trigger. And that is what we have to make sure that black people are in charge of the narrative, because the trigger is real. And that is what keeps these conversations, the triggers we have towards each other. And unfortunately, those in power are triggered the most.
Wow. Sandra, thank you, Sandra. It's your inner being. It makes you, who you are. Everybody's got something, that's making them, very special, very unique. But the conversation, I'm sorry. That goddamn Sandra.
Oh, God. I know, Sandra, baby. I know.
It's our third. That's our third co-host, everybody. We unapologetic up in here. We're unapologetic.
And to even peel back the onion, and it's not that you're talking, trying to make white people or lighter, recessive people less than, because we never did. We love them, and Africa's loved. I mean, Africa still supports Europe. still supports it every step of the way. Now, they don't love us back. They're not grateful. They act like a bunch of spoiled ass brats. They want everything, and that's a whole nother subject. But my point is that it takes a lot of energy to create a Black child. It's a whole nother genetic anatomy. And unfortunately, the people who are empowered run the medical field. And I do believe
I think Dr.
antibodies are different. Everything is different. And once you can't, and unfortunately, just because we're so superficial, we can't even get past hair. So we focus on features, and it's not really about features.
Something else. Dr. Amos Wilson, he has several books on that topic of what you're talking about. So guys, go check him out. But what you can also check out is if you are a licensed professional, we got this. It's going down. Here we go.
If you would let me do your hair.
All right, big ups to the OAB, the Ohio Association of Beauticians, as well as Powell's Barber Beauty Supply. That's Toledo's favorite barber and beauty, actually their longest standing barber and beauty supply in the city of Toledo. That's in Ohio. It's going down Monday,
the 23rd.
Monday, October 23rd in Toledo, Ohio. What's up? We got Juju in the chat. What's happening, Juju? It's always wonderful to see you coming through. So yeah, it's going down on Monday, October the 23rd. $65. Your lunch is included. We have 5 wonderful areas of discussion. We have coil mechanics. We have 4. Coil mechanics. We have hair loss. We also have the technology part. And then, of course, we have the Y2K, dispelling myths. And so this is definitely going to boost your knowledge behind the chair, your confidence, your ability to really service the customers in a different, unique kind of a way. I could just testify. I'm going to be going live a lot more. I'm also going to be posting just some I think I have like 20 benefits of what we as the Reverence Design team have benefited from the Afro Hair Science Summit that took place last month here in Cleveland, Ohio. We're still getting some rave reviews. We have a lot of big ups to all the journalists who are, watching us and they're not saying anything. You know who you are. Thank you so very much. We have a lot of journalists reaching out to us that's applauding our efforts. These conversations about Afro hair, they have to go beyond the topic of hairstyling. Next week, we're going to be back here at 5 o'clock and we're going to talk about Make It Last Forever. Cheryl, how long can hairstyles last? That's the topic that comes up. We have to talk about the dumbest shit. This is some dumb shit, y'all. I mean, Juju, when I say dumb shit, this is one of those dumb shits that people just cannot, how long is it going to last? So we're going to talk about curls. We're going to talk about silk press. We're going to talk about braids. We're going to talk about afros. We're going through
and we're going to talk about the fact that because Jada's hair came back and it's being colored and the cancer conversation ain't came up.
Okay. So we're going to come in early because I got to do my OAB meeting at 6. So we're going to be in early next week at 5 o'clock. So you guys come on and join us. But check this out. We have a surprise to share with you guys. We always say we need to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And Cheryl and I, we're gonna do something unique every Thursday. We're going to go live here on YouTube. We're gonna try Twitter. We're gonna Twitter, and we're gonna do Facebook. We're gonna, LinkedIn. Y'all gonna have to, get in where you fit in. But anywho, and we are going to call these particular lives the plight of Afro hair, because we have to, as you guys can see from these conversations that we're having today, we've got to have some. I'm talking about some serious conversations, calling out these damn pseudos. Juju, I'm glad you in the chat, because we have to address it, guys. I mean, this platform, we kind of skirt around it because we really just, it takes us on a different tangent. So we're going to have to come back and talk about the plight of textured hair, of Afro hair, I'm sorry. And we've got 5 components that we can talk about this plight: the history, the science, the legalities, the styling, the education. The education of Afro hair is just, it's deplorable.
And we are so far from our inheritance.
It's a sad
we're creating thousandaires. We thousandaires. And your ancestors left you billions. And so we have got.
Yeah, and so, we're going to Cheryl's going to create a whole new thumbnail. And we're going to be talking about the plight of Afro hair. And pseudos, you're being warned. We got to stop this, not in a mean way. We really want to open it up, because we're saying, I'm going to just use myself. I even use my book, my book, What They Don't Tell You at the Hair Salon. It's not uberly pseudo, but it's got some stuff in there that could be changed. However, it's a great effort to talk about what, they don't tell you at the hair salon. So that was my efforts to try to kind of debunk some of the pseudoism, but some of it I got caught up in it myself because the education. But I was on a journey. You could tell by this book that I was definitely on a truth-seeking journey, and that's part of the process. There's nothing wrong with being wrong, but when you're wrong, you got to stop it. Okay, you got to stop it. So join us next week. You can catch my book. It's on Amazon. You can also download this baby on your iBooks. Your phones or your tablets. That book, and then I also have my Curly Hair Adventures book. Cheryl's book is also available on Amazon. Let me drop her book so y'all can see what her book looks like. And so we have your dad's book, right? Are you going to bring your father's books to the
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're very expensive.
Right. So she's going to be there. Oh, there it is. I put your little there. Her book is up there. So that's what's going down. You can check our books out. They all are available on Amazon. Hey, we appreciate you guys. We're going to rock it out. This Thursday, right? You want to rock it out this Thursday?
We're gonna rock it out.
So we're gonna start this Thursday. We're gonna do it at like I'm gonna say like 10 o'clock, late night. Everybody, you're in the bed. You might be at home chilling, stuck at the office. And we're just gonna go, and we're gonna start off, with education, the plight of Afro hair, the even dumber shit that people say about black hair. That's really what it is. It's just, it gets dumber and dumber. But shame on us, right, Cheryl, if we don't talk about it, and not to be mean and call people out, but to really highlight where people just really got it wrong and why education is important. I'm not against anybody on self-discovery and learning, but you know what, you got to go to school. You got to come to the Afro hair science. You got to go to somebody's school. You got to stop this YouTube, Google University. It's just out of control. It's out of control. All right, guys, that's it. You have been wonderful. Thank you so much for partnering with us. We're going to see you Thursday, right? Y'all come back. It's going to be 10 o'clock p.m. EST. And what's that, 7 your time, Cheryl?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to be 7 o'clock in California. Hey, are you safe, by the way? The weather, is the rain? Is it
you
rain?
know what? It's fabulous.
Oh, that damn news. That's why I don't watch TV. See, I'm telling you, I don't be watching that TV.
No, seriously. I mean, it's nice out.
I heard them sirens going by. Maybe that's the Mexicans running to go flash mob. I'm just being bad. I'm being bad. Okay, guys. You know what we say when we're always signing out, right? We'll see you Thursday, right? Join us at 10 o'clock. We're going to be right here, and we're talking about the plight of Afro hair, the dumber shit that people say about black hair is going down at 10 o'clock right here on these platforms. So, you know what I'm saying? We're signing out. We're always talking about a whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, for sure, a whole lot of hair, but check it out. If you ain't got it, don't want it, can't stand it, can't grow it, you got little bald patches. Maybe you did something like this, like I did, you know. Hey, you know what I say? Psh, please don't worry about all that. You want to know why? Because all that's beautiful. Yes, Jada Pinkett, you beautiful too. Even Jada is beautiful, okay? And so are you. Deuces, guys. You have been phenomenal. Sandra, Miss Foster, Lavina, Juju, everybody in the chat. Y'all stay up late Thursday and come kick the ballistics with us. Deuces.